Drew Franklin Bolander. Mustard, pickle, and Sunday dinner. One of my fondest memories were the Sunday afternoon dinners. Every Sunday, the whole family would gather together for dinner. There was always a lot of talking and joking around, but the highlight was that Sunday dinner always included some sort of meat roast and Mom's homemade mustard pickle. We could go through a whole bottle in one meal. I know for me, of all the things she canned, the mustard pickle was my favorite. My wife, Darlene, carried this tradition through to our family. She learned how to make mustard pickle, and our family has learned to enjoy it as well. The memory and tradition continues on.
Nola Bolander Carlson. Some of the things I remember most about Mom are things that made me laugh, and that she could always laugh herself too. She was always mixing up her words. Like one time she asked someone to hand her the hammer and the saw, but what came out of her mouth was, hand me the hammer and the hog. And one time she was giving someone directions and told them to take the Denver Cheyenne exit, but she said, take the Diane Shipper exit. She was always mixing things up that way. She could never get one of her kids' names right. She had to go through all 6 names before she could ever get it right. And then she would get all flustered. I can relate to that one. There was another morning when Mom was getting ready for work and then discovered she sprayed deodorant on her hair and hairspray under her arms. Another time she was all ready for work and had her bright red lipstick on and then was taking out tiger milk for breakfast. Tiger's milk was a white powder she kept in the fridge in a plastic jar with a screw-on lid. This one morning she got it out, holding it by the lid, and the lid came off and the jar hit the floor flat on the bottom, and white powder went up and covered her face. All you could see was white powder and bright red lips. There was one night she was getting ready for bed, and I heard her laughing hysterically. So I went to see what was going on, and she said she took her bra off and she still had one on. She had worn 2 bras all day and didn't know it. And of course, I will never forget how kind and caring she was. Always there for us, and still is.
Sherry Bolander Miller. I wish I had a memory like my mother. I remember taking her to the doctor when I was there a few years ago, and she could give the month, date, and year of all the health-related things that had happened to her. I remember her telling me when I was young, remember, remember, remember. I guess I tended to forget or lose things. Her memory amazes me. I remember the relatives visiting our home often and having homemade ice cream. She has always had the ability to care and think of others. Our summer road trips to Idaho or Cedar City, driving with all 4 windows down, and her sailing down the road at 90 miles an hour. The 3 flats on the summer trip, that last flat tire just happened outside Twin Falls when we were heading to one of Uncle Jack's son's farewells. Her schoonerisms such as, Connie, you want a bat in the bottle? Her ability to sew and always make us look good. Her laughter and her ability to laugh at herself. In order to provide Christmas for us kids, she would work her day in her day job at Anwar Automotive, and from there she would go to Snellbrook's and pack chocolates until midnight. When driving, she knew how to get anywhere. She liked to find new routes to take. Our birthday cakes were always Aunt Gina's sponge cake. Everyone loved them. She learned how to make them, and when Aunt Gina lived with her family, she helped Aunt Gina make them. She expressed what a special man her dad was to her, and stories of letting her drive when she was just a young girl. I am sure that is where her love of driving comes from. When I look back at her life, I think the greatest legacy is her faith. I remember her going to the temple often and ironing her temple clothes. I remember hearing her say, "It's because I paid my tithe." That golden thread of faith is woven throughout her life. Her dedication to her family, her children, spouses, grandchildren are always remembered with a card, and a stick of gum. That stick of gum is her trademark with all her grandkids and great-grandkids remember her by. In spite of hardships, losing a husband and raising 6 children, family life